you're actually gonna have to have a program, exactly.
Who are like,
where you have like people of color that go through the program to become specific, like to become reparations therapists.
Yeah, in combination. So if we're talking about like getting folks out of crabs in a barrel mentality, just throwing money on it isn't enough, but it's something.
Not enough.
It's something, like you said.
100%.
But it's not the end all be all. That's what I was gonna say. I hear what you're saying, that it's not enough, that it's not even just about the money. So I totally agree with what Preshona is saying also, that like, okay, I hear what you're saying in terms of the money not being enough, right? And definitely needing to have a holistic approach, because we're not in the condition that we're in because we're just bad people who are lazy.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? There were policies behind these. And all of these policies address different things. You know what I'm saying? Like there was monetary policies that made sure we couldn't get certain jobs. You know what I'm saying? There were psychological policies which in order, for instance, you're not allowed in this area if you're too dark, or if you have some part of white blood in you, then you're slightly more acceptable than a. Let's not forget the literature and the constant propaganda that was just like depicting us as apes. You know what I'm saying? Even when it comes out in like even the what is it, the covert psychological game that they've been playing, where they're like, nah, but it's just a joke. You know, can you believe we were in South Africa, bruh? Was it late last year or was it early this year? I think it was late last year. I had a guy walk up to me, right? We were both walking up to the ATM. I happened to get to the ATM before him. This was a white guy. He was with his white friend. And then I get to the ATM before him, and he's pissed about that because he feels like he was beaten out of it. You know what I'm saying? And he said something about, I was here first. And I'm like, how? If I'm touching the ATM first, it means I got here first. And then he called an attitude, and he's like, how do you cut, how do you get a nigga out of a tree? And I'm like, what? He's like, how do you get a nigga out of a tree? And I'm like, listen, homie, there's never gonna be a time when you're gonna call me a nigga and think it's gonna end off good. And he's like, oh, what? Why are you being a bruise about it? Why are you being so sensitive? And I'm like, because it's not a joke to me, it's not funny. So then, I don't know, I got to the ATM, but for whatever reason, I couldn't use the ATM. So I had to step, I was trying to access money from my phone. Like somebody had sent me like an e-wallet or something. So for some I wasn't getting the code right. So I stepped away from the ATM so he could use it, but I'm still in close range because I need to go back, you know? So while I'm there, basically, like now he's stressed, like now he's shook. Like I just pissed this black man off. I'm trying to use the ATM and he's still, so now he's like all pressed and he's like nervous and whatnot. He's like, and now he's trying to diffuse the situation by like, can't even take a joke, right? And I'm like, bruh, this is not a joke to me. So eventually, as he's getting into his car with his other white friend, right? Then he gets back to talking loud, like, oh no, I just try to make a joke with him about how do you cut a nigga out of a tree? I mean, how do you get a nigga out of a tree? And he's just being a boost about it. And he's like, just so you know, you cut him out. Oh yeah, you cut the rope. That's the joke. You cut the rope. That's how you get a nigga out of a tree. And I was like, for real, fam. And I was like, but I already knew the game was on. So I just laughed at both of them because I could tell that these are cowards, bro. When we were standing face to face, you couldn't finish your joke. Once you're in the car with your white friend and you and that's exactly what happened. After they drove off. And I'm like, cowards, bro. Cowards.
Yeah.
So I was saying that there's been many levels that this has layered, you know? And if we're gonna get reparations, if we're gonna get to a point where non-white children being born into a white-dominated world, if we're going to empower them, we have to be able to cut through all the layers. Like,
we gotta
like,
redefine.
it needs to no longer be a norm in our communities. You know what I'm saying? Like psychological oppression, because sometimes the oppression doesn't, like psychologically, it doesn't come from outside. Sometimes it starts at home, because colorism starts at home. If you're the dark child in the house, you're gonna get told, little blackie, what, you know? So even in the home, they're already setting up the hierarchy that the lighter your skin, the better your options in life. So when you go out into the world and you don't, like, especially in situations where we grew up, like where we grew up in white dominated communities, right? Where you know what it's like to be the only black person in your class or at the dinner table, or, you know what I'm saying? Especially for those of us that are growing up in those situations, it becomes very important to cut through all of this. Like, you know what I mean? I was so glad that, for instance, like I was saying now, like our little one, they were having a dress-up day, and we were so happy that finally we could dress him like a black superhero because he went as Black Panther. And you should see how happy and how proud he was. His mind, like at 4 years old, it's already that, listen, fam, you can be a superhero like all the other kids at school. Like everybody you see, it doesn't matter. Like you are everything and everything is you. So that's my point, is how do we make that the norm?